Welcome back to Retirement News Online. You can find out more, a lot of content, a lot of information at retirementnewsonline.com. And today we're joined once again by Rick Orred, founder of Orred Financial in Willmar, Minnesota. Now, as retirement gets closer, the financial decisions become bigger and the margin for error actually gets smaller. When you're young, just keep investing, take care of that 401k. Risk is not a problem. But for people approaching age 60, it's no longer just about growth. It's about protecting what you built, avoiding costly mistakes, and recognizing that what got you here may not be enough to get you through retirement. And so today we're discussing why you can't put all your eggs in one basket. I know that's a cliche. And why, as Rick often says, you don't know what you don't know. So Rick, for people approaching that magical age of 60, how should their mindset begin to shift from simply growing wealth and preparing for retirement, but then now, and we've talked about this before, the protection. So, you know, I think people think about growth and then they think about distribution, but there's this point in the middle we have to actually protect. Right. Talk about that.
Well, you can't, I guess you can't put all your eggs in one basket when you're asking for growth in order to provide the certainty, you know, coming back down the mountain, so to speak, because growth is like you say, it's going to fluctuate. As you're putting money on the model, as you're putting money into your retirement accounts, things are going up, things are going down, the market's going up, sometimes it's going great, sometimes it's not, but the game changes as soon as you get to the top, and because what we're preparing for is we're preparing for those endings that we cannot see.
Right. Then let's talk about diversification. So, you know, as a money manager, as someone who is a financial planner, a lot of people, I think, you may find have what I would call naive diversification. So they come into your office and they go, hey, I got all these accounts. You know, I've got my 401k, I've got an IRA, I might even have a Roth, I've got these other accounts. And then when you look under the hood, they're all the same stocks pretty much, you know, I mean, which is not uncommon. You know, when you're talking about protecting, growing, and then developing income, what does diversification really look like? What should it look like?
Well, I think, and people get a little distorted view on that because they say, well, you know, my advisor, I've read about stuff that says, you know, I've got every area of the spectrum covered, okay? But what they fail to realize is that this is all on an accumulation side of the fence, okay? As I said, once you get to the top of that Mount Everest, and you turn around and now all of a sudden you're going to go back down the mountain, try to get back down the mountain safely, and you start taking money off of those assets, then all bets are off. Because once that happens, can you weather those storms of if we have a downturn in the market? I mean, if you're taking 4% or 5% off of that and you have a 10%, you know, 10% downturn in the market, well, all of a sudden you're at 15%. Well, you've just decimated some of the workers that you're depending upon for your retirement income later. And so I think you really have to help clients, or we help clients understand the power of money and how money works in their own environment. And it's not just an accumulation game here, but it's ultimately, hey, what does that distribution income stream look like?
Yeah, and I think if you're under the age of 50, in most cases, when the market goes down, it doesn't really matter as much because you're still contributing and you're getting now things at a bargain, right?
Sure.
And you got a long time to make up for that, which is not the case when you're in that retirement red zone, is what we call it. And, and let's talk about that. What are some of the biggest blind spots, like right now, people 50, 55, getting to 60, that they overlook when it comes to retirement planning? Not that they should know anything if they're not working with you, but what do they often forget to consider?
Well, I think they forget that, I mean, people are living longer, number one. Longevity is a big thing. You know, healthcare costs, you know, they talk about the things that cost more money, whether it's groceries or gas or those types of things. But as people age, I mean, with people living longer, things usually don't get cheaper. Taxes are an ever-encompassing animal. And I mean, you have to understand that inflation is a big factor. And in order to do that, you've got to be able to position those assets, position your assets, that it's not always an accumulation game that you're playing here. And I keep going back to that because if I'm going to ask you, Scott, what's the ultimate objective to climb Mount Everest? Is it to get to the top? No,
You
it's
get
not.
back down.
It's to get back down the mountain safely. Well,
Right.
everybody in the advisory world wants to manage that asset. They want to manage their money, but they don't ever give you the game plan of how you get down the mountain safely. What we help our clients understand is that even 10 years, 5 years, 10 years before they get to this area, if we can position those assets and position them right now in order to take full advantage of coming down the mountain safely and provide some certainty to some of those assets, then it doesn't matter. I mean, if the market goes up, down, or sideways, they're not affected by that. I've had clients, for many, many years that have gone through some pretty severe times. And I mean, after the fact, it's, hindsight is 20/20, but they've come back and said, man alive, thank you for preparing me for that, because I didn't see that coming, because I'm just focused on putting money into my model.
Right. That's Rick Orred, Orred Financial in Wilmer, Minnesota. Thank you so much for talking with us
Thank
today.
you, Scott.
Obviously, he is a financial planner. He works building, he works protecting, he works distributing, so that I guess the most important thing is not running out of money. But then, this is the time when you've worked so hard, and if you're going to be in retirement for 30 years, you should have some fun, I'm guessing. You should go out and be able to spend some of that. That's why he's here. This is Retirement News Online. Find out more at retirementnewsonline.com. Thanks for watching.